Benjamin, Mr. Benjamin Borg, how are you?
I'm doing well, bro.
Yeah, welcome to my show. Welcome to sunny Penrith. It's actually nighttime at the moment. We're in these fucking glasses here. What are these? These are what are these glasses?
Blue blocker glasses.
This is blocking more than blue, mate. This is blocking red, yellow, like everything. Like I needed this a couple nights ago when fucking old mate Nick had this light on, and I couldn't even see the guest in front of me. But now I can see everything.
That's what they're for.
I can see the grain and the timber and everything. This is actually not too bad. I don't know how long I'm going to keep them on for. It's so weird. Because I saw you wearing them on Aaron's podcast, and I was thinking, what's going on here? Are you trying to trying to find this other part of yourself, like Mr. Ringo Starr or something?
Oh, I always love a good sing and a good song, but now with these glasses, as much as I've traveled and walk and becoming a student of the earth path, the red walk, the red road, or whatever it is that it connects us. Also aware that we have to exist and walk in this world, in this reality. So, for me, it's definitely been a journey as much as it has learning and going down the path of ceremony and being a part of ceremony. It's also learning and looking into how can I support and look after this body, this vessel in the best way that I can. So any little tools, any extra little things that I can do, that I can grab hold of to help me with that, then that's what I'm going to do.
Dude, I don't know if it's the cacao or the fucking glasses. I'm starting to get a little bit loopy. I might take these off. That's it. So,
well, then we'll see. It's one or the other.
I can't. It's too bright.
See, that's what they're for,
that's
bro.
It. Anyways, this is episode 12. That breaks down to number 3. 3 is creativity. It's the Holy Trinity. It's also, it's about it. That's all I can think of. You know what? We had an awesome dinner tonight.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
So for those that don't know, which is all of you that don't know, except for Talia and my mum, so we had homemade pumpkin soup, fucking some type of chicken that mum got from the shops, and you bought a nice, was it fucking trifle? I thought you were saying
truffle.
I thought you said tripe the other day. I'm like, no, I don't eat stomach, bro. I don't want tripe.
Yeah, no. I couldn't see how I could make tripe a dessert, but
fuck me.
But definitely trifle. Had to be trifle.
And thank you for the cacao, man. I really appreciate it. Strong stuff.
Yeah. And this one's a special one tonight. I thought it called for a beautiful blend. So a blend of the masculine and the feminine. And again, as you said, you mentioned just then, unity.
Yep.
So this is what this is all about, the intention in making this and creating this and being here.
God bless, man. So we've got a lot to discuss tonight. Before we were chatting about which direction we're going to go and what we can talk about. Listen, I know your past, and you discussed it well with Mr. Aaron. So we'll give a plug to Thrive, the Thrive podcast. That's all I can remember. But I'll find out. I'll put a link in the description. So just with Nick there, so people can go find your past story, because we can't do any better than what you discussed.
All night.
Yeah, but he did a great job, and you guys did a great podcast on that, discussing that. So people, if anyone wants to find out about your past there, I advise you go listen to it, because it's fantastic. But tonight we're just going to go down talking about ceremony, talking about what you do, perhaps where we met and where we're going and what you're going to do, because you're going on quite a journey for the next little bit. So we'll go from there. But before we start, got a couple of questions. All right, Ben, we all know you were vegan for a number of years, and now you're a meat eater.
Yeah, reformed vegan.
A reformed vegan. He couldn't take it. He couldn't take it, no. That veganism, mate. What's your favorite food, bro?
Oh, now I'd have to go good wood-fired pizza or a good hamburger.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Those burgers are good.
Yeah.
Your birthday, those good burgers.
Do a good burger.
That was fantastic. Favorite color?
Blue. Like electric blue.
Electric blue? Why?
Ocean blue. I don't know. Something about it just is warming.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I feel lighter when I see that color blue.
Okay, lovely.
Clear blue skies, blue day, sunny day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite childhood memory? Cool.
You know, it's interesting. Don't go and think about the childhood too much, but I always have this one particular memory that stands out when I go back, and I think I might have been 4 years old. It might be one of my younger ones. We're at my house, and it was a game that I used to play with my little brother, and it'd be on a table not too different to this, the coffee table. I would have a tennis ball in my hand, and then I'd be sitting on top, and he'd be underneath, and he'd pop out almost like peekaboo, and I'd have a tennis ball and throw the ball at him, or he'd throw the ball back at me. But I just remember laughter in that moment. I remember us both laughing, and there's nothing more beautiful than the laughter of an innocent child.
Of course, man. Of course. No, I agree with that. And it doesn't have to be in your childhood now, but one of your hardest moments.
Stepping into this life, stepping onto this path, because I ignored the signs to take action, and it was taken. I got the Mack truck, you could say.
I agree.
Breaking and dislocating 22 of the 26 bones in the foot, every ligament, every tendon. That was probably some of the most painful and darkest days that I've had to endure so far.
Man, I wish you had my surgeon looked after me, bro. So listening to your story was sort of like, I don't know, the guy was a bit like, yeah, that's normal. That's not normal. But that's fair enough. So, all right. Well, you've touched on it. So what is your path then? So what path have you stepped onto, and what are you doing?
Yeah, that's a big question. Just from that and having to let go of everything that I thought I was and that my identity was built up upon, being that footy player and rugby player and all that sort of stuff, and gym and working hard and not stopping, had that all taken away. So it was like, from that, well, who am I? Who am I without all of that? And I had to find that. I had to go on the path and road of discovery to find that. And, it led me to the path and to ceremony of plant medicine, indigenous to the Amazon. And, it was ayahuasca, and that night changed everything.
How old were you when you started going down this path?
I think it was 32.
32. So the Mack truck, so when you broke your foot, and I know our Uncle Wind, our brother Wind, was the one that was talking about the Mack truck all the time. Yeah. So God rest his soul. But how old were you when you broke your foot?
I think it was 31. It was the year before.
Okay.
So, I spent 6 months learning to walk again. Of course. Having to, really strip back and sort of work out who and what was going to be there and be important for me and help me get through that stage of life. And, once I got back on my feet again, literally, and started learning to walk, a path and potential path was presented to me through a good bro of mine that I used to work with. And, I found myself walking into this ceremonial space, and it felt familiar, but I'd never experienced it before.
Yeah.
And from that, I thought I was walking into a cult or something, because everyone
thinks that, bro.
Bright and beautiful and loving.
Brother, sister.
Yeah.
Let's love each other.
What's this all about? What's it all about?
I know.
But I didn't get it at that point. So, that night changed all that.
So what night are you referring to?
The night that I did ayahuasca
in South America?
No, it was here.
It's here?
Yeah, it was here. And a part of me died that night.
Of course.
And that was the part of who I was. That was the old identity, the old self. And I saw from that moment that I was so much more than I was giving myself credit to and for. And I always thought that I was meant for something big. I was meant to help people in some capacity or way. But I wasn't achieving that or going to achieve it doing what I was doing. I was in football and playing rugby for me, but also to a degree for my dad. just to make him proud or get recognition from him.
Yeah.
Because, oh man, I could do a million different good things, all those little things good, but if I miss one tackle at the end of the game, it's like, you missed that tackle. It was always focused on the negative, always focusing on, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And I already knew because I was hard on myself out on the field.
Yeah.
And I strived to be the best player that I could and not making a mistake. And I was known as safe, but in that safety, I held back because I was afraid to fully step in and to fully go after what I could have had. But then knowing what I know now and where I am now, it was all part of the plan. It was all part of the script that I couldn't see in that time, in that moment. So it's helped me to get me where I am today, because if I didn't do what I did, that part within me, that competitive side within me, would be doing everything I could and ultimately be back on the field. And if I'm back on the field and putting energy and dedicating my time to there, I wouldn't be able to have space for what it is that I'm creating with my life now.
Because before the accident happened, before your first ayahuasca ceremony, did you have any idea about the spiritual path, about walking the spiritual path? Did you have any inkling, crystals, any girlfriends that were into tarot cards, that type of stuff,
There was a couple. There was two workmates that I worked with, apart from the one that I went to ceremony with, because I was working 3 jobs at a time, just working. I was following the path of, the good old wog mentality and that of, you got to work and you got to have a house, you got to buy a house, you got to save and you got to work hard.
Back in the day, it was good, yeah.
So that's what I did.
Yeah.
But then I look back at it now and go, that's not sustainable. But it did help me get something now that I will be able to flip and support me and sustain me on the next part of my journey.
Yes.
So with that, I had 2 brothers that I can call them brothers because they went to the Amazon and they experienced an ayahuasca ceremony, and he was telling me about how he was walking with his dog from his childhood and having a conversation with his dog, and another night he was talking to Jesus arm in arm, and I was like, wow. And something inside me said, I need to do that. Something just was pulling me to that. But I always thought I had to go to the Amazon to do that.
Yeah.
And then when I talked to him about it, and I started talking to my mate, and he'd been in the Amazon as well, and he came, but he's like, bro, you don't have to go. I can put you into the right avenues and right contacts, and you don't have to go as far as what you think. So when I heard that, everything just fell into line. There was something within me as well that called me to Machu Picchu, called me to Peru. From a young age. I didn't get it. I didn't know why, but I just had to get to Machu Picchu. And truth be told, there was 2 separate occasions where I tried to book a holiday with different groups of people to go and and do the trek and do the whole Machu Picchu thing, but I would have been going with the wrong intention. I would have been going there and not really knowing why and knowing or having the capacity to receive the answer why. But that's all changed now. So after that ceremony, as I said, it's just completely shifted the path in which I am choosing to walk and creating for myself and for my family. And for that, I'm forever grateful.
Of course. So in that ceremony that you had, or that you completed in Australia, do you want to discuss exactly some little bits and pieces of what you saw, or so basically being so hard in football, then learning how to walk again. Obviously at this point now you're starting to seek, you want answers, your soul's starting to show you what's going on. So what exactly is it that you see that says a part of me died that night?
It started off, it was really interesting because it was a small circle and we were in the Mallorca, in nature, such a beautiful setting. And literally opposite to me, on the other side of the room, there was a brother that was going through the trenches. He was crying, he was purging, he was really hurting and clearing a lot of that. And then on the other side, directly opposite to him, there was me. And I was on my back. It was like a little baby again. And I remember on my back and just seeing all these beautiful fractals and seeing all these beautiful deities. And I was with my hands and feet just changing the colors and the spectral shapes and everything. And I was having the most beautiful time. And it was like I was giggling like a little child. The child within me was fully just coming out. And then another significant part of the night was I found myself in a sweat lodge, and I'd never sat in a sweat lodge before, didn't know what a sweat lodge was, but I had all these chiefs entering in like this igloo and inviting me in and sitting in with them. And they said, "We've been waiting for you." And I was sweating with them and everything, and I was looking around and it felt familiar, but I didn't know the name because I'd never experienced it in the physical. And then I was sitting on a mountain at one point playing the yidaki. Never played the yidaki before in my life, but I was playing with it, and I had an elder circling and putting his hand on my shoulder. And as I was playing the yidaki, the sound that I was creating was giving color to the scenery beneath us. Color, life, vibrance. And from that point, I stood up with the music. It was like the intensity of the music was building. And I just felt this shaking from within my body. And I just felt this immense light just building. And then I saw it. And it was so weird because I was present in my mind, but I wasn't in my mind. I was in my body, but not in my body. I was observing it from multiple perspectives, and it just cracked, and my old self, my skin just fell in a pile on the floor, and I shot up into the stars and just was flying as light. And it was so hard. It was so beautiful. And the biggest changes that I made immediate changes. 2 weeks later, I had a yidaki and I started playing.
For those people that don't know what a yidaki is, it's a didgeridoo.
Yeah. So, and from that, I just was questioning my whole existence and reality and what I called reality. And the one thing, we touch on the vegan thing. A real prominent thing that happened in that ceremony was I had the cows, the spirit of the cow, the sheep, the chicken, the pig come to me, and they said, "We want you to feel what we feel when we go through death and in this way." And it's like they touched me on the forehead, and I just burst into tears because I'd never thought about it before. I'd just go to the butcher, I'd go to supermarket and look for the lean cut, extra trim, extra fat free and everything, and thought that was healthy, that was good for me. And yeah, because leading up to the week we have to do dieta. And the dieta is, when I was talking to the brother that was facilitating and hosting the circle, he's like, "Okay, no meat, no dairy, no spice, no salt." I was going, "Holy shit, what am I going to eat? Air? Lettuce? What's this? I've never done that before. How can you get by not having meat or cheese or something?" But I made it work. And then little did I know, after that, by the end of that ceremony, I would then move into 5 years of plant-based. But I give credit and thanks to my son for bringing us out of that. And we had friends that we would catch up with for dinners and everything, and they were in the same boat. They were plant-based and decided to go back onto the meat, but I was a little bit later to the party. But when we found out that we were expecting our first child, it was like, we have to honor him. I want to honor him and his health. I don't want to hold him back based on our beliefs. So I want him to be able to have the greatest shot at being the happiest, healthiest version of himself. And I just felt that in order for us to give him that and provide that for him while in utero, was to come back to bone broths and come back to everything. But in this time, the beautiful thing was that my whole perspective and outlook on the quality of where I sourced my meat came from changed.
Yeah.
And it's like I had to go through that period of going without in order to learn through having beautiful conversations and dialogues with brothers that, were pretty much carnivore. And here I was vegan, and, I respected him and his value and valued his opinion as he did with me. So we were having just open dialogue and conversation and looking and listening more and more to Paul Chek. You might have heard of him, and just listening to his perspective and everything. And it was like, okay, I've been doing it wrong. In that I've just been going to the supermarket and looking for 99% fat-free or extra lean, extra trim. But I didn't get this whole grass-fed, grain-fed, all that sort of antibiotics, hormone-free, no vaccines, and all that sort of stuff that they pump into the animal. And it came back, it brought me right back into that ceremony where the cow touched me and the animals touched me. And it was like, oh shit. We didn't say not to eat us, but we said to honor us and to consider and remember what it is that we go through. So it's like, okay, they're not saying not to eat me, but the way in which I eat it, the way in which it's prepared, the way in which it's honored before I eat it, that is so powerful, and that's important. And that's where, through my journey of ceremony, of sitting in circle and on sacred sites and with beautiful elders from all over the world, learning these stories and learning the ways in which they honor all things, as all things are sacred, then it's like, okay, how can I integrate this into my everyday life? And by honoring the meat, always saying a prayer and honoring the animal, giving it thanks for its life and its flesh, and that it's going to give me energy and strength to carry on in what I'm doing, and that I will honor it and say a prayer for it, for the land it's raised on, for the earth, for the hands it's cooked it, all that, and giving it thanks and raising its vibration so that when I eat it, I feel good. And it's cleared the karma and everything that may be attached and associated with that. So, yeah, it's come full circle. I've come full circle. And since doing that, it's almost like I've gone the complete opposite. I've flipped. And my diet consists mainly now of as much as possible sourcing the highest quality meats, raw milk where I can, straight from the farm, eggs. And when I train the same way as what I've always done. And when I was plant-based, I was like 70, I dropped down to 78 kilos.
I've got to be upfront, bro. You didn't look the healthiest when you were vegan, man. I remember you didn't look the healthiest.
Yeah, well T looked at a photo. No offense taken, because T looked at a photo of us one day when I was.
Yeah.
She's like, babe, you look like a butch lesbian or something. And I told this to my friend when I was in Peru last year, and she goes, no, I never remember you. You always looked like pretty stocky and pretty lean. I showed her the photo and she goes, oh yeah, you look like a butch lesbian. I went, oh, thanks. Yeah. But I could see it because I was just real gaunt in the face and everything. And since I've come back, it's my body type. My body responds well to that. And dude, now I'm the heaviest I've been.
You've never looked better.
And I feel the best.
I remember that night you came over once and we made French onion soup. We never told you, so I'll tell you now, there was bone broth in there. Yeah. So if you're a vegan and you come over to my place for dinner, you're going to get fucking bone broth. And I didn't realize it. Mum tells me, she goes, oh, son, I had some bone broth in it. I'm like, fuck, we're going to kill this vegan. But it started from there. Oh, yeah. And then afterwards, you started looking so much better, man. So
Yeah, and you know,
even now, you look really healthy.
and I
with
feel
those
it,
glasses.
and with that, it's all that I do to look after myself is not just for me. It's so that I can show up in a way that will honor the people that
Yep.
come and sit in ceremony,
Yep.
but also so that I can keep up and play with my son, because man, that boy is a pure ball of energy.
Of course, man.
And he
of
just
course.
does not stop. So he loves being wrestled and thrown around. And if I'm not healthy, if I'm not maintaining some level of fitness, then how am I going to be able to keep up with him and the
Yours.
impact that that has on him down the line?
It's also your community. You're a warrior. You're there to help the weak. You know, fight off the rich, save the poor. You know, there's a whole massive dynamic to that. But also, you can see in your body, you just and your face, you're glowing. Back then, it wasn't so good, but it's all good, man. It's part and parcel with the whole process of it. So, okay, there's so many dynamics to your story, Ben. All right. And, you know, we're going to have a part 2 when you come back from your overseas trip. But let's talk about what is it that you actually do? What is it that you actually do?
Yeah, that, I suppose I can't give it any real title. You know, the Western mind or the logical mind will want a title to associate and go, oh, he does that. That he does this. But there's many things in which I do that are created and facilitated to create a space for people to come and for people to connect with their inner self. So whether it be through breath work, through cacao ceremony, through, you know, certain plant teachers and holding spaces for people in that way, then it's about creating a space that people feel comfortable in so that they can soften, and in that softening, they can bypass the logical mind and move into the sub and unconscious, where, you know, they can have difficult things arise, emotions and memories from past, and not even maybe this incarnation. It's all possible. And if I was me saying this stuff now to myself, you know, going back when I was playing footy, I would have laughed and just laughed it off and just gone, I don't know, what a crackpot.
Yeah.
But I've experienced and seen such beauty and such magic in these years of fully committing to this space that I can't question it anymore. It's a knowing. And sometimes I still have that logical part of the mind going, oh, as if, whatever. All right, that's a sign. Okay, I need a signier sign. Just to confirm that sign so that I can know that it's definitely a sign.
Yeah.
And then you get that as like, no, I need a bigger sign. I need a bigger thing to show me that this thing is, I can rationalize it, that's a sign. So, you know, there's always that wrestle still. But the more that I can, and we all can catch ourselves out from, you know, coming in and being in that logic and moving out and just accepting miracles are everywhere.
Yeah.
When we're open to receive them. So what we have been seeing, because quite often facilitate this space with T, and she brings her dynamic and her magic in, and I bring mine, and it's the balance of masculine and feminine. And with that and in that space, to be a strong depiction of that, to hold and help hold people in that space, that helps them feel safe. And when they feel safe, that's when they can go deep within. And with that, they find that turmoil, that heartache or that heartbreak that, you know, may have happened 20 years ago, but they've still been holding it on because the issue's in the tissues. It's not just we still can hold it in the spirit, in the soul, but it's also in the body. So if we can help release that through fascia and working through, you know, with massage as well, emotional release massage, and activating and working certain meridian points and helping this energy travel and flow freely through the body again, then everything becomes in flow once more. And when I say flow, it's you opening up to the synchronicities, and it's like hopping from one step to the other, but without necessarily knowing where the path's taking you. But you trust that your spirit, that your soul is never going to guide you into a space of desperation or despair.
No, of course not. But a lot of people don't know how to listen to that.
And that's it. And that's why creating and having these spaces is so important. And there's been some beautiful brothers and sisters coming onto the show already that are doing that and facilitating and creating these spaces. So, it's important to use your discernment as well, because we're seeing so many people doing this. And yeah, it's a shame you see people that do breath work. And how did you get into it? I did a weekend course. NLP, I did a 2-day course. Got a certificate, paid for it and all. Here's my name on it. Go start practicing. But have you really been able to hold people? Have you really dealt with people that have had significant traumas? And when I say traumas, like significant physical abuses, mental, emotional abuses, have you been able to sit with that and hold that? Because, some people, you might get the shakes, or you might get some people crying and that sort of stuff. But when they start peeling back and really going into the core of these things, how are you going to respond? If you haven't dealt with or have true empathy for that person, you're not going to be able to support them through their process. And then what you have is you have people that have opened up these wounds and might be stuck in it. If you don't know how to help them through that, then they're going to be stuck, and it's going to create chaos in their world.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really discerning when you're choosing and feeling to sit with someone. So that's why when T and me hold a deep dive day or a ceremony, we open up a Zoom call, or we're always accessible with messaging, with Zoom calls and chats, to speak to the mind, the logical mind, so that can be at ease and peace and grace. You can ask questions to, put that at ease, so that when you come, you've already got a sense of knowing what it is that we do, how we offer and how we share, so that you feel that safety. And in that safety, you can really access these deeper recesses of your mind and soul.
That's beautiful, man. And you're definitely right in saying that. So you get people out there that do these weekend courses and whatnot, or sometimes a little bit more. But when you start to delve down this path with helping other people, healing people, you will open up wounds. Things will come out. So you need to know and need to learn how to handle that. And the best way to go through it is when you're working with someone, you're taking your time to learn with different people, That's something. When I was starting to do Reiki initially, I had no idea what to do with someone. They started crying, but I was like, okay, and you learn from there. But that's what the key word that you said was empathy. Compassion for that person, and then you take your time and you understand that they need to open up, and you hold a safe space for them, and you care for them, and you show them that love, and that's really important. Sometimes that's all that people really need. Because you took me back to when I was doing kahuna massage over in the Sunshine Coast, and you'd be massaging there, and the females would, not anyone, but in this case it was a female. They would open up and start crying, and then you just got to keep on holding them. You got to keep on massaging, but you got to come down to them. You stop and you hold their heart through their back, and you say, "I've got you. I've got you, sister. It's okay. You're safe. I'm here with you." And then you just got to keep on working this, and all they say is thank you, really thank you for that, and you just work through it. You got to show them that empathy and compassion, and that takes time to learn. And really, you ultimately got to you got to feel that for yourself as well. When you feel that for yourself, you can show and express that to somebody else. So biggest thing is, like, to show love to someone else, you need to love yourself. You need to understand what that is. And how many times I would say to someone that came to me that was having issues with self-love, or they would hate themselves or something. And I would say to them, hey, listen, when you cry in the mirror, what does your reflection do? And they'd look at me puzzled, like, oh, What do you mean? I don't know. I go, when you cry in the mirror, what's your reflection doing? And they still don't get it. I'm like, your reflection is crying with you.
Mm.
And they're like, oh, what do you mean by that? I said, you've always been there for yourself. You've always been there for yourself. You've never let yourself go. So when you're sad, you're going through a hard time, you are there for you. You got to understand that, So this whole time when you're putting yourself down and all these things, like, just stop it. You've always been there for you. You got to love you. You've been there. You need to open up for you and allow and accept that. And then you start to slowly see little changes from there, So that's amazing. And I really appreciate that, because from what I've seen for the work that you've done, man, you've done fantastic work for a lot of people, and you've been quite busy always. Ben, come over. Oh, I'm busy. So that's it. So, okay. So you mentioned that you started to do a little bit of massage now, which I've known you for 7 years now. You weren't doing massage before. So when you first started on your path of helping other people and healing yourself and healing other people, what was the first tool that you put into your inventory?
So by this point, I started traveling, and
Cacao.
with that, I used to travel to have fun, to find the best clubs, find the best party supplements, whatever it is.
Fucking, I don't know. But I've never met this Ben before.
Yeah, no, that's a Ben that we'll never regret and look back and say, man, there were some fun times and crazy times, but
a lot fun. It's a lot more fun than vegan Ben.
Yeah, definitely. But with that, can't eat this. No, has it got that in it? No, or no, I can't have that. Do you have this? Yeah,
French fries, a side of cocaine. All right, that's it. Now you're talking.
But with this, I started traveling, and these people, these elders, these just started presenting themselves.
Yep.
I basically lost all my friends because my friends were still doing that.
Yep.
And from that, there were nights where after I had this, people saying, come to the bar, come to the club, the Saturday night stuff. And I didn't want to. I just wanted to be at the beach. I just wanted to be at the beach all weekend. And the closest beach for me at the time was Bondi Beach.
Yeah.
So I would go there Saturday, I'd go there Sunday. And it got to a point at one point where it was like, why am I going home when I'm just going to drive back out in the morning? So there were times I actually would spend the whole day by myself at Bondi Beach on the Saturday. I'd go out for dinner, just walking. And a couple of nights I slept on the beach. I slept under a tree. I slept in my car some weekends because I just felt really restricted and constricted at home. And I was just, no, I don't want to be here. Suburbia, it was just too much and too compacted for me. I needed to be expansive. And I didn't really have any friends that I could talk to that were free to hang out. They had families and that sort of stuff. And I just had this trust that, hey, you're going to meet the right people. The people are going to come to you. You just got to put yourself in the right place. And that's what I did. And it started off with these, I met just from being familiar and started going to this cafe, and it was a nice vegan cafe of all places, but the people there were really nice, and they were people that had sat in ceremony themselves and were doing work on themselves. And it was like, oh, wow. I love hanging out with these people. They're good and fun, and they're happy. And it's like, okay. So I got to know them. And then from that, it's like, hey, there's this party that happens, and it's alcohol free and drug free, and it's and ecstatic dance and movement. I'm like, well, I don't know what the fuck that was, but I just trust. And they had this one down at on the cliffs of Bondi one night. And again, I just went by myself and just going, you know what? It's an opportunity to connect and meet new people. I'm like-minded, open-minded, and ended up staying there all night and connected with the sister there. And she's one of my closest sisters to this day. And she said, there's something about you. I just want to chat to you. I want to get to know what it is. And and everything. And as we spent time together, and she's like, oh, I'm actually running a retreat to Peru. Do you want to come along? I've been wanting to go to Peru my whole life. I don't know why, and she goes, this isn't your usual, this isn't a tour per se. This is something about connecting with the land, and this is all about coming into ceremony and walking on the land with respect. And I was, all right, I'm in. I just trusted that the money was going to come and everything was going to come, and it just fell into line. And from that, again, that just propelled me to a whole nother level. It was like an evolution. And we then, from that, after I ended up going back to Peru a second time with her, because the first time I was being initiated by the land, because she would talk about how the mountains would hold you and support you, but also test you. And I didn't get that at the time. I was still very new to the whole journey and path and everything. And she found this event one night. We were in Bondi for an elder came from overseas, and he was from the Red Road, and he did teepee ceremonies. And always loved I had an affinity for Native American culture. And again, I didn't know where it came from, but it just spoke to me. It spoke to something within me so deep. And we went to that talk, and that night an ad popped up through someone that she was friends with on Facebook, and she saw it and went, oh my God, Ben, look at this. And it just so happened to be the week after the Peru retreat. And it was a gathering of elders from all over the world for 4 days. And I went there. We got in, we had to apply, and we got there, and of all places, it was in Ibiza. So I'd never been to Ibiza before, but what I knew of Ibiza, it was, and probably still is, an incredible party place. And I always thought that I'd be going to Ibiza for the best clubs in the world. Yeah. But here I was going to the other side of the island with this gathering of elders, many of which had never left the Amazon or the forest before. And they were coming here on this land. And there wouldn't have been even 100 people from all around the world to gather and listen to this. And the people and the elders that I connected with there blew me away. And it just left me lit up. I was talking met Uncle Liz through a beautiful sister Kelly. And then I met Nana Marina and Tata Pedro. These are just some. And my dear sis Ciolano and I were just like, oh my gosh, how beautiful is this to just be in this energy with them. And it really struck something within me. And then through that same gathering, it was later in the year or the following year, they did a journey through the sacred lands of Mexico. And I went along, and it was their first one. And it ended up being only 2 people. And my sister Ciolano joined, so there was 3 of us for this retreat. 10 days or something through the most sacred sites across Mexico. And when I visited Teotihuacan, the temple of the moon, temple of the sun, Nana Marina from Guatemala, Mayan elder, she was there. And I had little understanding of Spanish. And I remember specifically because I'd sat with the Cacao ceremony in Australia in the year before, but it was only ever through ecstatic dance and everything. But I still remember to this day, we're on the temple of the moon, and she said to me through the translator, I had a vision of you last night, and you were serving cacao. And I sort of looked and went, me? And she said, yeah. This is how you prepare it. This is what you do. This is how you create it. You're going to go back to Australia and share that. And I sort of looked at like me doing this. And it was sort of like, oh shit, well, if she's asking me to, then I got to do something about that. And that's in that moment where it was like, I've been a teacher for so long. I've shared in classrooms for so long. And it was funny to see the evolution of me. And I didn't know what it meant at the time, but once I'd started doing this stuff and going into school, my classes and lessons looked a lot different to what they were before that.
Serving the kids cacao.
Well, meditations and sound journeys and everything in the classroom, and sort of looking
bringing massive gongs.
Yeah. And well, I took the handpan in a few times, let's just say that. And and one of the kids was like, "Sir, you're woke." I've never heard that term before in my life. I didn't know what it was. Like, what is that? And like, yeah, woke. Oh, no, I don't know what that means. But, you know, it was funny because when I came back from my first trip to Peru, I had my hair before I left, my hair was long. It was the longest it had been, because since our uncle passed, Uncle Win passed, it was like, to honor him, I'm not going to cut my hair. So I cut my hair short, and then I let it grow. Let my beard grow. And the kids are like, "You're a hippie, sir. You're a hippie. You're a hippie. Oh, hippie." I go, "What? Just because of this, it makes me a hippie?" And I go, "What is the hippie? What is a hippie?" They couldn't answer. They didn't know. You know, someone that loves the environment, loves the earth. And I was like, "So what's wrong with that?" And it sort of, they paused. I didn't know what to say with that. And I went to Peru that second time, and it said, "You got to shave. And the kids, you will be able to touch and connect." That sounds pretty wrong as I'm saying that now, but it's like, you will connect with these kids. You know, you will be able to connect with these kids in a way. Big no.
No, Biden, no.
But with that, in order for the kids to listen to you, you need to be able to relate with them.
Of course, man.
So literally, it was after a Wachuma ceremony at Auntie Leslie's house that I got the message to, "You got to shave." And my beard was as long as it was now, and all I had was a single Gillette razor. That's all I had, because I didn't anticipate.
Where'd you find that, man?
At least I don't know.
At least we got double now.
Yeah, no, triple, like quadruple.
It's like a fucking, there's a cheese grater. Fuck it.
I had one. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, I started shaving with a single blade. It was the most painful and time-consuming thing I'd done. But by the time I got back from Peru from that trip, the kids were like, "Oh, you're not a hippie anymore."
That's it.
Oh. And straight away, they were open to listen again.
You know what you needed? You needed Manscaped. So you know what? If you're listening from Manscaped, we're open to sponsors here. I'm being serious. This man needed a fucking beard trimmer, not a fucking single piece of shit. But yeah, so fair enough. I just had to do that plug just in case someone.
Just in case they're out there.
You
and
never
they'll
know.
be out there.
That's it. But fair enough. Okay.
So from that, Nana Marina gave me the blueprint of creating ceremony with cacao, using cacao in ceremony, in a ceremonial way.
And it's fantastic cacao. So she's the same lady that you get your cacao from now?
Absolutely.
It is so beautiful and airy. It is lovely.
And we went as a family there last year to Guatemala, to Lake Atitlan. And I've tried cacao from all over the world. I love cacao from Peru, from Mexico, Ecuador. But for me, in using ceremony, seeing how Nana prepares it, how Nana works with the fire, how they pray with it, and they pray over it, and using even the tools to help create it, the stones and everything, it is all done in prayer. And that prayer is what gives the cacao the force, the energy to help transform hearts and heal hearts.
Yeah. And you definitely feel it.
So with that, I came back all excited, but not knowing what to do with it. And I was like, Nana said it's time to do cacao ceremony. I don't know what that looks like, but let's work with it. Let's just create something. And the first place that I felt drawn and called to hold the cacao ceremony was at Cornell, where that monument and plaque of where here is where Captain Cook first planted his. And for me, that was the first place of hurt and trauma and the beginning of such a dark period for this country. And if they had done it, if our European ancestors had done things differently, we would be living in harmony and unity. Be a completely different country. Perhaps. But it all comes down to respect.
Yeah.
So out of respect for what I was bringing to this land, that's where I was being called to offer and serve.
Yep.
And give an offering of love and goodwill, and setting and stating our intention for that. Our first ceremony was 4 people: Talia, myself, and 2 friends.
Yeah.
But then the next one, it grew. We did another one. It grew. But what I noticed, and what was the most beautiful thing, I guess you could say, from doing those first ceremonies there on that land, were the birds, the animals.
Yeah.
I was learning to listen and watch the world, the trees, the animals, the waters, and listen to what they have to share. And there were kookaburras literally not as far as the bookshelf there, just watching. There were magpies walking up to us, not even you to me away, and just watching. And I would say hello, acknowledge them, and then share with them what I was doing and why, and continue on. And they would just hang there and be there. And it was so beautiful. And it was like, wow, okay, we've got to take this to more people and share this with more people. Mm-hmm. So I guess you could say cacao was the first bow or feather in the back.
That's got to be the longest answer to any of my questions in my life. I swear to God, at some stage I thought this guy's lost it completely, but no, you went down. It's beautiful.
We bring it all back.
I love that. That's fantastic. That's great. So that was the first one. Then from there you went on to breath work, and now you're getting into massaging and touching and connecting. You're starting on another journey again now, actually, I didn't mean to dismiss any of your story. That was actually a beautiful story on how you started there. All right. But now you're going on another epic journey. So you want to take us through that a little bit?
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to be asked by my sister that to help support her with her groups that she took to Egypt last year and then Peru.
Yes.
And obviously I have Egyptian ancestry.
Yeah.
And going there just really ignited something within me. Mm-hmm. But then going back to Peru, this time being on the other side of helping and supporting rather than being a participant, there's a lot of work that goes into that. There's a lot of effort and planning and stuff that I'm not necessarily good with, the books and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Things I need to, practice and learn to get better with, but, showing up and being there to really hold and support people through processes and help give them clarity or give them the space to realize the clarity and the ahas for themselves.
Yeah.
So I was able to connect with a dear brother and sister. I met the sister, she lived here we met her in Byron Bay, and she was from Canada, and we're just like, you're one of us, you're fam. Mm. And she stayed with us at T's place when she came through to Sydney, and was like, oh my gosh, what is this place? I can't be here. I need to get out. It's just too overwhelming. And she moved to Peru. The whole lockdowns happened and everything, and she stayed there. Met a husband, had a baby, opened a retreat center, and it was, oh wow, So when I went last year to support, there were 2 separate events. And literally the day that I arrived to Peru, I got off the plane after 32 hours of transit and travel and went straight to their land and did a sweat lodge. Wiped me out. It might be crazy, might be silly, but I just felt I needed to do it to cleanse, clear, introduce myself to the land.
Yeah.
And in between the first group, there was a couple of days where I was able to go down and visit and be there to support them in the birth of their second child in the teepee. And we started praying, and the day after and before the next group came and arrived, we started to talk and plan and pray for my family to come. And that was a prayer that I've been holding on to for years, to be able to walk these sacred ways on these sacred lands and not have to worry about rushing back home because I've got to go back to work to pay a mortgage and be in that rat race. And it had come up in previous journeys for me as, what are you holding on to? Why are you holding on for? Why are you still here? I've got to be able to pay the rent. I've got to, be able to do all this. And there was something in me that was like, no, that's not where the expansion and the growth happens. It's time to embrace the unknown. So I came back and said to Tia, I think it's time. Let's look to next year. I'm going to go back to spend time with Uncle Liz and dance with him again, have him support me and help me with that journey of dancing, sun dancing. And after that, let's come on over and we'll spend a bit of time in Guatemala, and then let's find some time in Peru. And there's no end expiration return ticket stamped. There is, but we can extend it. We can extend it. And that's the thing. It's about really embracing the unknown.
Or you could just come back and go again, bro. Still young.
That's true. That's it.
You can do whatever the hell it is that you want, man. Nothing's going to stop you.
Exactly. And in the past, I've had regrets. I've had opportunities. Were they the path and that for me, would I be here and where I am today if I'd followed them? Probably not.
Fair enough.
But in the moment, I'd look back and I'd get back home after flying and being offered to spend this or do more learning or travel to here, and I would always say, oh no, I've got to go back to work. I've got to work. So I'd go back to that. And then I'd get back to work and just go back to that same routine, that same hamster wheel and everything, and just go, fuck, what would happen here? I wish I was still there. So this time I've gone, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's go all in. And that's what we're doing.
God bless.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's open to the magic, open to the miracles, and I've decided it's time to step up and bring and invite a group of people who feel called to come and spend time on the land with me and share and show them these powerful sites and pray and create a sacred space to help empower them to make the necessary changes in their lives to help them take a leap into the unknown.
And we'll be helping these people journey through with plant medicine. Is that a part of the
trip? That will be a part of it, yeah.
Pun intended, part of the trip. But fair enough.
I don't like calling it trip. I like
some
calling
people
it
call it a trip, but it is a journey. Definitely about that.
Yeah.
Trip takes away its power.
That's it. A trip is something that you go on and come back.
Yeah.
But a journey is acknowledging that it's a part of life. Yeah. It's a part of, I see ceremony as like a check-in. It's a chance to stop, take a breather, be still and check in with your soul and have a conversation, whether it's with your higher self or God, and checking in. And that discomfort and that hurt and that pain that you experience and that you release and set yourself free from are the times that you've gone against your soul, are the times that you've gone against your spirit knowing and wanting to go in a certain direction, but then you do this one anyway because, oh no, I have to do this. But then when you have a good experience, that's sort of checking in and going, no, what you're doing is right. It's right for you. It's right by you. Your journey is your journey. My journey is my journey. Everyone's journey is their journey. We are all seeking and walking on a path. Some are further ahead, some are a little further behind. The ones that are even further ahead may even be half our age, but they've been given that platform by their parents who have done the work to propel them and give them a head start in life, so that they don't have to go through the shit that we did or their parents did.
That's what we want the younger generation to go through. So I want to start preparing Nick for his Saturn return before his Saturn return actually happens. And same with all the other ones. You want them to start in their teens, in their early 20s to start waking up, so they don't get to our age of 30 and starting to, actually I started a bit earlier. You started in your 30s, I started in my mid-20s. So that's a good thing. I'm still going through my shit now. You mentioned God. What's your relationship like with God? And what's God to you?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. It's such a big question to answer.
It is.
It's a massive one. I remember when I was young, Mum would take us to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
And my brothers and sisters would come along. I just didn't want to be in there. It just didn't feel right. That kneeling down and sitting on uncomfortable wooden chairs and standing up and sitting down. We just wanted to play, and we'd laugh and giggle, and Mum would just be like, shut up. You know, got to be quiet and listen. And I'd look around and it just didn't feel right for me. And it wasn't that I wasn't acknowledging or, pushing away God. I couldn't relate to God in a marble, concrete or stone building.
Understood.
So once I started working and learning these ways and sitting in ceremony, it's like God's in everything. God's in the trees, God's in the stones, God's in the waters, God's in us. So I don't need to go to a building to pray and give my thanks to God. By stopping and taking a breath, taking a moment, placing my hand or making an offering with flowers or burying a crystal in the earth, it's saying, thank you. Thank you for what you've given me. Thank you for the food that I get to eat. Thank you for the clean running water, because God is in all of that and is in all of us. So with that, it's about creating. This is what we were touching on in the art of ceremony and what it is. What is ceremony? And ceremony is creating a space where people can have an opportunity to talk to God, talk to their higher self, talk to their highest aspect from which we come from. And with that, there's always space in ceremony. I tell the people, it doesn't matter if you refer to God as God, Allah, Buddha, Shiva, Krishna, Great Spirit, Great Mystery. For me, it all means we're referring to a higher power, a power beyond our preconceived ideas or knowings, that there is something greater than us that has created us and created everything that we get to utilize and experience in this world, in this realm. And it's all welcome here in this space. Your prayers, as long as they come, your songs, as long as they come from your heart, they are always welcome in this space. So we can find God at the bottom of an empty bottle. We can find God staring at us and staring deep into the fire. But God is everywhere if we choose to see it.
Beautiful words, my friend. Beautiful words. I've got a couple more questions for you, and then we'll kindly wrap this up. It's been a long day, changing tires and whatnot, and lovely lunches and dinners. Listen, what advice, and I think this is an important one because you've been doing healing work for the last close to 10 years. Okay, let's say 7 to 10 years. Any advice for people learning and going down the path of doing breath work, myofascial release, massages, Reiki, whatnot. Any little tips or little words of wisdom for people that are starting out, that are seeking, that would sort of things that you'd wish you knew when you first started?
See, I'm lucky enough that I'd experienced ceremony quite a number of times before I started to do and share breath work and cacao. So that was a part that was already within me, that I was able to create a space. So what I would share and say, the most important thing for people who are looking to offer these modalities or any modality is to create an intentional space. And creating intentional space looks different for everyone. How I do it would differ to how you do it, to how the next person would do it.
Yeah.
But as long as it's coming from the heart, as long as you are setting an intention, whether you're speaking it, whether you're thinking it, and you're creating it, so that when that person walks in the door, through those doors to see you, it's like something there that they just go, and they soften. Because in that softening, it's allowing and giving them permission to be fully expressive and seen without your words of encouragement to do so. So it comes down to how you set up your space. And again, it might be with crystals, it might be with burning sage, but don't put the crystals there just because it's a cool thing they look pretty and nice, or don't just light the sage because that's what everyone does. You've got to say prayers, you've got to set your intentions before that person walks in, so that space is created not just in this physical, but in the unseen realm too.
Beautiful, man. Fantastic. And also, I have to agree with that because we both work with Whinge, and we both understood from the get-go before the lodge started, even the day before when you were cutting the wood, all prayer, all intention, when you're collecting the sticks, stones, everything. So the same thing when I go and do a Reiki the day before, setting the bed up, crystals, altars, everything. You're setting up that intention. When that person walks in, they've got no other choice but to heal, and they'll be feeling it. So lovely words, my friend. Also, now on the flip side, what advice would you give, or words of encouragement would you give to people that are seeking to receive some healing, or seeking to resolve some issues in their life? The people that you would see coming to you for advice or for something, what would you offer them, some words of wisdom?
Ultimately, there's no growth in being comfortable.
Yeah.
There's no change in the comfortable, in the known familiar. So by setting yourself an intention, by setting yourself an intent to make a change and taking the steps to action that change, and reaching out to someone, whether it be a body worker, breath worker, release, myofascial release, or whatever it might be, plant medicine. Just by being willing to show up and feeling and acknowledging that fear, but stepping into it anyway, there's growth there.
Yeah.
And when you approach these spaces and it scares the shit out of you, it means because you feel that there's going to be a great shift, a great releasing and shedding in that. And it's fearful because you don't know what's on the other side of that. So embrace it. And when you feel those feelings and do it anyway, that's true courage. That's strength.
Beautiful. And this is going to lead on into this next part, which is during your darkest moments, obviously when that Mack truck hit you, knowing what you know now, what could you have told yourself back then to have helped you through that?
It's all a necessary part for your evolution.
Fair enough.
It's all necessary. As much as you don't want to go through that, and you might not want to do it now, what it will create for you and the life that you will live that's coming is going to be more beautiful than what you ever thought and imagined possible.
And we know that that definitely happened with you in your life, my friend.
And that's it.
That's it. God bless you and your family and all the hearts that you've touched. Hearts. Let's make that clear. Hearts that you've touched and the hearts that you will. Ben, where can people find you?
At the moment,
Under a rock.
on top of a rock,
Yeah.
just in a cave. But no, I am on social media, and that's one of the main platforms that I use is Instagram, I guess, at _Sacred Breath of Life.
Yeah.
We have our website, www.tealsoulsacredbreathoflife.org. And, coming into these final 2 weeks that I'm here in the country, I'm pretty busy with sessions and everything. But I guess people can find me next if they feel called to join on my Peru pilgrimage. It's not a retreat. It's not an immersion. There's nothing that you need to retreat from in your life. It's how to go on this pilgrimage to find your sacred path.
What a salesman you are.
So people feel called.
Where's my card?
Yeah. Come along. Come along.
Yeah, let's pay. Come on.
Come along. There's space.
Pay ID. No, God bless. I'm going to miss you. But I know it's necessary. So I've got a couple of your items at my place that I'll look after until you get back. And we'll see you. You're coming back next year. There's no doubt about that. You can all you want. I've already spoken to Talia. We know you're coming back next year.
We need to come back. Obviously, we'll have some very upset grandparents and everything. Impatient grandparents wanting to meet the latest addition to the family. So
God bless.
Obviously, we got to bring them back, and then
go again.
If there's space, we go again and deepen and continue the learning to then come back, bring that back and share that again.
No worries. Just bring me a pack of cigars when you come back, please. All right, bro?
That's it. It's not that cacao oil, hey?
That's it. Hey, God bless you. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to my podcast. It's been an honor. I wanted to break your cherry by having you first, but Mr. Aaron from Thrive had you and you were on his, so I got enough of that, which is fine. But thank you. It's been an honor, and I'm glad to call you a friend and a brother, and we've journeyed well, and we will continue to do so. So anyways, thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
All right, man. Let me put the glasses on. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Have a nice one. Bye-bye.
Have a beautiful evening.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.